It's already been maybe, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months since the Chimera came to raid, one of the new clan bosses, and also a pretty important part of the game because it's the only place where we can get relics or materials to craft relics. And maybe not yet because it's something quite recent, but I'm pretty sure that with the time the relics are going to start being an important part of the game, basically because they give us a lot of effects that are very positive for our champions, but also at the same time they give us stats, so they make our champions stronger. In that sense, there's a couple of things that I've seen within this time, that I've seen different teams, different setups, different champions used over and over, and I thought I'd just make a little video telling you a bit about my experiences, what kind of champions I've seen, and the way I kind of portray how to build a good team for Chimera. Let's have a look at it. Hi, Senda here and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. In this case, like I said, I'm gonna just make a little chat, talk a bit about the Chimera, different teams, different setups, so you can make the most out of your champions and know exactly what kind of champions are good, are not good, and the different roles they fill in the Chimera. And to do so, I'm gonna just show you some of the teams that my clan uses and some of the teams other clans use on this Chimera clash that we have right now, so you have an overview of the most used champions and why, because I think that's the main important part of the video, so you know how to identify. There's three kind of main roles for different champions, and also in my opinion there's like 2 or 3 types of teams. Let's start from that, okay? Types of teams. Like I said, this is my channel, this is my opinions, it's not the Bible, it's not set in stone, it's not the perfect and the final truth, and you might think otherwise. First of all, and before getting a bit into depth, this is only my opinion, is my experience, is the way I've seen this kind of content, and I try to rationalize it and analyze it in my brain so it makes sense for me, so I can explain it to you, and maybe you agree or not. If you have a different view of how these kind of teams are done, please let it down in the comments, and that way, so we help everyone. So, like I said, in my opinion, my impressions is that there is 2-3 kinds of teams for the Chimera. The first one would be a team built purely for damage, so it's able to tackle the hardest difficulty and at least to make 112.5 million damage, you get the maximum chest. This will be like the type of team 1. Then there will be like type of team 2, which is not so focused on the maximum chest, but it's mainly focused in making the biggest amount of these trials for the Chimera. The more trials, the more rewards, and the more rewards, the more relics you can craft. I hope, and this is just a wish that I have, that at some point the materials to craft relics get a bit improved. I think like every week we can only craft maybe, I don't know, 2 to 3 relics, and there is not even that many types of relics. There is, let's see where we can, here, there's like 4 rares of these, 4 rares of these, and that's about it, because they haven't added anything else, there's no rare of these ones, and the chances to get an epic and to get a legendary and not even a mythical are pretty low and slim. So I hope at some point they revisit this and they decide to just give us some more. I mean, in the Forge every week we could forge a million different items. I have way too many resources on this that I only use in clan versus clan just to make points and sell all these items, because some of them at my level of the account they got a bit old, and we have a lot of these resources but very little of this. So like I said, I hope they revisit it and at some point they just increase the reward, because I think it's gonna get even more important with the time, the relics and gearing the champions with the correct relics. So going back to the teams, like I said, there's these 2 or 3 types. One is damage, we'll see what kind of champions can fit really well on this. The second one would be trials, and like I said, normally they differ. At least in my case, I have 2 different teams. One mainly built for damage, the other one mainly built for the trials. And the third team would be a hybrid, would be a mix of the 2, which is very rare. You don't see them very often, and they're able to do both. Get the maximum chest and also along the way make quite a lot of trials. How much is a lot of trials? I would say over 7, 8, 9 trials that you're able to make. Anything around that or even more than that is a lot, because we're going to need a lot of different champions and that are able to apply a lot of different buffs and a lot of different debuffs to be able to achieve them all. This will be kind of the first part, the types of team. For example, in my case, I hit, I'm not sure if it's Nightmare or Ultra Nightmare, I think Ultra Nightmare, but we don't get the maximum chest in the clan, so Nightmare goes down, Brutal goes down, but basically I have two types of teams. This will be the team number 1, which is damage. I only care here about getting the maximum chest, and then I have a second team, which is the second one, with Mikage, with Ninja, and I think the rest of the team is the same. That is a bit more focused in finishing trials and getting done as many trials as possible. Obviously, if you have a lot more champions, if you have better champions or better gear, you will be able to achieve both, which is obviously the ultimate goal, to have a team that's able to do both things. But like we're gonna see now, we're gonna need certain champions. In terms of champions, I would say there's 3 main roles that we need to keep in mind. The first one, the first kind of role that we're going to need is the debuffer. What kind of champion is a debuffer? One champion able to apply debuffs. And there's certain champions here that we're going to see a lot and that they shine a lot. For example, if we analyze the one that my clan used this week, we can see one that applies 2 buffs and like 5 different debuffs, and all of them are part of the required debuffs that we need to apply to the Chimera. In this case, this champion is Lydia. We can see like this Leo Jack uses her here, we can see another Lydia here, and another one here, and another one here, and another one here, and another one here, so pretty much everyone used it. If I go to the best clan right now in our Chimera Clash, we can see again Lydia over here, and Lydia, and Lydia, and Lydia, and Lydia. Basically, because it's a very good champion, it applies a lot of debuffs and also is for free. So it's, chances are that someone that is doing the highest levels of Chimera are gonna have her, and in that sense, it also makes complete sense putting her, because it's just a very good champion, very versatile, that we can take her everywhere. Another champion also very used, we can see him also here, would be Nekmothar, also an amazing debuffer, and also not just that, but it's also able to give us a lot of speed in our team. As an A3, able to recirculate, is able to apply reduced speed, leech, decrease defense, and like I said, is able to give our team a lot of speed, which is also very important, because the more amount of turns that we get, the more hits we do, the more damage, and the more debuffs we apply, the faster our skills reset, etc. So it's a champion that's also very, very powerful. And one that I'm seeing also a lot lately is Lamasu. Lamasu is the champion, the reward for the siege. We're all gonna get her also sooner or later, but we're gonna see, probably it's not too seen yet, because like I said, it's a champion that is not that easy, but sooner or later we're all gonna get her. And again, she's able to apply decreased defense, block buffs, true fear, decreased speed, intercept, so it's also a debuffer, able to apply a lot of debuffs that are very useful for this boss. Another one that will be very used, and also another free champion that will probably all have already or will have, is Lady Mikage. The same, not only she's able to apply a lot of debuffs, but also a lot of buffs, and also an ally attack. And the ally attack is also part of one of the trials. So if you have her, it's also a really good champion that fits on that debuffer slot. Jumping on the next one, the next kind of group, we've seen the debuffers are the opposite, are the buffers. And not only buffers, but also champions able to revive our team. Here, I would say there's like a top 2 champions. If you have them, you're gonna see them here all the time, because they're really, really amazing. One is Elva, the other one is Senna Amberheart from the Dwarf faction. If we come here, for example, you can see Senna. Again, amazing buffer, is able to heal a lot, she revives, she's really, really powerful. And also Elva, able to revive, Veil or Perfect Veil, continuous heal, she also has increased defense, increased attack, again an amazing champion, also amazing aura, speed everywhere. So it's another one of the champions that we're going to see very, very often. Maybe here Padraig is also another very used champion in that sense, but I would put him already kind of a step lower than Elva and Senna. I think Elva and Senna are much better. For example, Great Oak will be here, Lilitu will be here, Sifi would be here, and Korra is not very seen, but it's also here. We'll also see another Ramantu. Ramantu also going to that debuffer group, same with like Riho Bone Spear, also able to apply a lot of debuffs in one single skill. But in terms of revivers and buffers, there's not that many, and the meta is the meta. What everyone uses for a reason. And finally, and this group is probably even slimmer than the previous ones, is the damage. What kind of champions everyone used to make a lot of damage? So it's going to be pretty much, and the answer to that is going to be the answer of what are the hardest hitting champions in PvE. It will be Nut, also amazing for pretty much every single boss. The Sand Necropolis, you can use him also in the Shogun, in Chimera, in Hydra, in Fire Knight. Nut is just amazing, it's really powerful, and of course there's no surprise to anyone, that's also one of the best champions for damage in the Chimera. Then we also have a Kritza, also another amazing champion in pretty much any kind of boss, also a killer in Hydra, and of course Marius, another free-to-play free-to-play to obtain champion. It's just like, it's a bit of a grind, but it's also another amazing champion, triple hitter, scales of enemy max HP, is able to increase defense, increase accuracy, which are also buffs that are necessary to pass trials on the Chimera. But pretty much, other than these three champions, I mean, Master Othorion, of course, Odin, you don't see him that often, because obviously it's not the easiest to get, but yeah, Master Othorion is not, is also a very powerful one, and there's one here in the clan that probably you've seen before, but obviously, I mean, if he's amazing in Hydra, he's going to be amazing everywhere, especially combined with Lady Mikage, it will be Toshiro. Toshiro is able to even put even more damage than Nut, which is quite impressive, but as you probably know, Toshiro is just the best. He's an amazing champion, he's really hard, and paired with Mikage, that also every time Mikage does an A1, Toshiro just launches also, so it's also an amazing champion. But you're going to see a lot of these 3-4 champions, you're going to see them very often, and they're the main source of damage for your team. There could be a couple more quirks, I could show you a couple of champions that I use in Chimera very often. For example, Negmothar, I completely changed him. I used to wear him different for the Hydra, but since I took him off my Hydra team, now I use it mainly on the Chimera. I had to adjust a bit the set, and there's a reason of why he is so amazing. In this case, I put him the Relentless set. Obviously, the more sets I can have, so the more turns I can have, the better. He's also able to increase the speed of my team, increase speed, and also extra turn. Every time he procs an extra turn, here has the chance to get another extra turn, even with the set. Also, I put him on the Impulse, I think it's called, yeah, on a chance of decreasing a cooldown of one skill. If it happens that I decrease the cooldown of the increased speed skill, I'm gonna have another turn, I'm gonna recirculate my skills even faster, and also is able to apply a lot of very powerful debuffs, decrease defense, decrease attack, decrease speed, leech, here here nothing, so 3 debuffs very useful, and turn meter increase and increase speed, which are very powerful. Another good option in case you don't have him is Sneak Track, another good champion, and also another set you can put him on is 9-piece protection, just because he's able to apply quite a lot of buffs and we don't want the enemy to steal this. Shield over here, ally protection, reflect damage, also leech on a passive, and decrease attack on basic on A1, even, I don't know, Krisk, for example, or also an amazing champion in terms of buffs and debuffs that he's able to apply, and because I don't want the Chimera to steal anything, 9-piece protection is the way to go. So I hope this video has been a bit interesting, you'll learn something, you'll have a different or more clear vision of what kind of champions are good in the Chimera, and why, what kind of things we need, we don't need, and with the time, if they release new champions that have certain buffs and debuffs that are useful for this dungeon, you're much more able and you have many more tools to identify these guys and be like, okay, this guy sounds amazing, I think it's going to be amazing in here because he's able of this and that. The same with the DPS, the same with the buffers, and the debuffers. At least I hope you have a bit more of an informed idea of what kind of champions are required for this dungeon. Like I said, if you have any other ideas, leave it down there in the comments. Here, recommended video like always, and I'll see you around in the next video. Bye bye.